Welcome to another Sandia Mountain Natural History Center. Glad you could join us. Today we are down in the Manzano Mountains and we're going to try and make our way all the way up to the top of the mountain there to a place called Capilla Peak. Do a little hiking and exploring up around there. Maybe even check out a fire tower. Hopefully they'll even let us in. We'll see. So let's go ahead and get started. So a big part of today's adventure is just the drive up here. And you can see off in the distance those two trucks slowly making their way up to our final destination as well, which is Capilla Peak. If you are scared of heights or exposure, or don't trust the person who's driving, this is probably not the road for you.
From where we're standing, we're so high in elevation, we're about 10,000 feet. We have this great panoramic vision of everything around us, and that makes a good reason if we look back to our south for a lookout tower for fire.
We're really lucky. This is Tabitha, the relief lookout. And one of the coolest things about fire towers is this circular thing in the middle called a fire finder, if I have that correct. Tabitha will correct me, but could you tell us, Tabitha, how it works?
Yeah, so this is the Osborne fire finder. So if you see smoke in the distance, we use this here. You can move it to line up this finder right here with the smoke. And then the line will cross the map, so you can see on the line where on the map the smoke is, and then we can estimate the distance to find the exact township range and section, and then we can radio it in and send a crew out to that location.
Very cool. We made it to the campground that is up here. And this is the view from one of the pavilions in the campground. It's a pretty incredible spot to camp.
So right in the middle of the screen there is a deer. Hopefully you can see that. And then you won't be able to see the second one. There's a second one right by us. That is a mule deer. You can tell by those huge ears that that's a mule deer right there.
This is a interesting area because it was obviously completely burned, but it's also interesting because this is exactly where the fire stopped. So just a few minutes ago, we were right down below here talking about where the fire stopped, and you can see that spot, but as if we kind of move around, you can kind of understand how the fire made a run up this hill right up towards the fire tower and eventually reached the crest of the hill, but just ran out of fuel near the top. Just down the ridge is Capilla Peak Observatory. It's a UNM, University of New Mexico observatory. So one of the things that the Manzanos are most famous for is the hawk migration route. Birds of prey use the Manzanos as a guide in their migration north to south. And one of the best places to see them is from this Gavilan Trail. It's best to observe them in the fall. We're in the summer, but we'll see what we can see.
All right, so no trip, Sandia Mountain Naturally Quick Trip would be complete without some scat, and we have some right here. This is extremely fresh bear scat. We know it's bear because of the size, but we look here and here, here, we'll see the bear prints or bear tracks where it's pushed the dirt out of the way. Again, very fresh. We know that because of the flies flying on it.
Our guess is that the Gavilan Trail is not a super highly used trail because it's just about completely overgrown. So we've been making a lot of noise not to scare any bears or anything. That is a morning cloak butterfly, I believe.
Well, you should believe something else because that is an admiral's butterfly.
So we got something weird going on here. We have a tree that's been stripped of bark and it's suffering. So the first guess would be deer, but as we pan down, that's probably 12 or so feet high. A second guess was porcupine do that, but this isn't really the right habitat. A third guess was maybe the snow was piled so high and deer walking on top of the snow. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Why don't you comment down below with your theories, because we don't really know what would have caused this. So we've hiked a little further and we've seen a lot more evidence of this mysterious bark being removed from the pine trees. And we've kind of altered our thinking to that it's some sort of insect, but we'd still like to know your opinion in the comments down below.
The elevation must have been affecting our brains because we never considered something like squirrels. But we're still curious what you think. Comment down below.
So this is a cork bark fur, and the reason it's called a cork bark fur is because of how soft the bark is. You don't even really need the knife. I can dig into it with my fingernail. So one of the cool things for nature nerds like us is when we get into different areas, we get to see different trees. And this is one that grows at a much higher altitude than we're used to in the Sandias. It grows about 9,000 feet, and it's a limber pine. And the way we can tell it's a limber pine is these cones, and it has different needles. It has shorter needles, and they come in bundles of, I think, 4 or 5. So that's a limber pine. Those peaks there in the distance, that is Guadalupe and Mosca peaks. We can actually see those peaks from the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center. Those are probably the 2 signature peaks in the Manzano Mountains. Never been up them, although Mosca does not sound that appetizing. Maybe you should comment down below if you know what Mosca in Spanish means. It's like we got a turkey vulture here. We haven't seen any hawks, but the turkey vultures are making use of this area. One of the reasons why this is a good area to fly is the wind coming up gives them lift. Well, Daniel's truck survived the drive down, and that means we survived. We came all the way down the mountain. Today really turned out to be a much funner trip than we anticipated. We saw deer, we got to go in the fire tower, got some awesome views, and that's not everything that we were expecting to see. So really pleased with today's trip. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.